Good morning and welcome to the Celebrity Chef Show. My name is John Ferrucci. This morning we're going to make bagels. And let me tell you, they're not as hard as I thought. I made a batch yesterday, they come out really good. So I want you to try this at home. You're going to start off with 4 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Now, here's an important thing to remember. The salt, you're just going to mix in with the flour, okay? The sugar, you're going to start with a 1 cup measure. You're going to put your sugar and your yeast together. Tablespoon of sugar, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. And then you're going to fill this up with a 1/2 cup of warm water. The water should be about 110 degrees. Don't make it too hot, you'll kill the yeast. But you want it to be warm, about 110 degrees. That'll get the activity of the yeast started. So now, 1/2 cup of water, your yeast and your sugar in here. Stir that around, and in about, I'm going to say 10 minutes, that yeast is going to foam all the way up to the top of this 1 cup measure. That's when you're ready. So now, you would take your flour, put it into your mixing bowl, along with your yeast, and then another 1/2 cup of water. So you have a 1 cup of water total. Now, I've already prepared the flour this morning. I already prepared the dough this morning to save some time for you, and I've got it right here to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, I let it rise in the mixing bowl, and you see I just punched it down. It's a very, I guess you might want to say it's a very soft dough. It's not sticky at all. See how it's not sticking to my fingers? It has a very good feel to it. And that's what you're looking for when you're mixing it. Now, as you're mixing with this 4 cups of flour, if it's tacky, when you stop your mixer and test it, if it's tacky to your hand, you have to add a little bit more flour. I use a little scoop like this and just add a tablespoon at a time. Yesterday when I made it, I found that I had to add about 1/3 more cup of flour. It all depends on the flour you're using. So here we go. Here's our dough. It takes about 10 minutes to mix. You let it mix for at least 8 to 10 minutes. It'll start to develop that gluten in the flour. And see, it's like I said, it's not tacky at all. That's how it should be, just like that. And we've given it a rise already. So now we're going to cut this dough into 8s. We're going to make 8 bagels. So the way to do that is you're going to cut it in half first. Okay? Then each half you're going to cut into half. Okay? Then each half you're going to cut into half. Got it? So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 bagels. And you're going to get 4 out of here. That'd be 8 bagels total. So once you cut it, just give them a little roll, just to get them to shape. Put them aside. Okay, now we'll cut the other one. Cut it in half. And cut it in half. Cut it in half. Now you notice I don't even need any flour on this bench. It's pretty... The dough is just totally not sticking at all. Now, part of your mise en place, if you've heard that culinary term, mise en place, that means pre-preparation. So if you see here, I've got the toppings that I'm going to use. I'm going to use toasted sesame. I'm going to use poppy seed. I'm going to use dried cranberries, because I love cranberry bagels. I have my egg wash to brush the top with, so that's all set. Over here, you need quite a good sized pan, because we're going to boil these bagels first for 1 minute on each side. You have a pan with your strainer so you can let the water drop off it. And I have my oven on 150 degrees. And what I'm going to do there is once I boil them, we're going to put the toppings on, and we're just going to put them in the oven for maybe 5 minutes. And that's actually just proofing them. I'm not baking them. I'm using the oven because I'm using the oven as a proofing oven actually. So you don't want it hot, you don't want them to dry out. And I'm going to put a pan of water, which I have right here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to use the water, when I get through boiling them, I'm going to use that water, put it in the oven so it has steam. It's going to help these bagels, proof. Now, I also, if you can see here, I have a sheet pan that I've inverted, and I've got a piece of parchment. Now, I'll show you the reason why we've got that. Now, you want to start getting the shape. Okay, you want to get about a 4 by 5 piece of shape of the dough. Keep it right around. Try not to get your end very thick. It should be pretty well even like that. Then you can put a hole through it. Put it on here. Okay. Give these a little roll. Roll it out. Try to stay within the size of a bagel. Okay. Now, if you wanted to make mini bagels, then just cut these in half. I don't know if that would be too small to work with. Maybe. I'm not sure. You can maybe try that next time. Okay. Now, these aren't going to be perfectly round bagels like you'd get in a bagel shop, because they actually have a machine that rolls this out to the right thickness. And actually, they don't do it in this procedure. They roll it in a log shape. Okay, they roll it in a log shape and connect the two ends. This recipe says to do it this way, and I think it works, so I'm not going to fool around with it. Normally I don't follow recipes because a chef feels that a recipe is a guide. Okay, you've got to put yourself into the recipe. For example, if you're making an Italian dish and it calls for 1 clove of garlic, and you happen to like garlic, well, then you can put in 2 cloves. It's your dish. Okay, those look pretty good. Okay, that's one tray there. I'm just going to move this off to the side. My water's boiling. I don't want it to boil out. I've had it boiling for a few minutes there. Add some more to it. And that's where you're going to be cooking these. Now, bagels, you boil them first, and then you give them a second cook in the oven. I have my other oven that I have preheating. You take our other sheet pan, and you did notice that I have that parchment paper, and I'm going to show you why we do that. Actually, these are going, you got to put these in the oven for about a 5-minute proof before we boil them. So far, you see, it's not really too elaborate, is it? Pretty easy. This dough feels just, see, we didn't need any dusting flour. If you need dusting flour, then you've made the dough a little too tacky. So you'd want to work a little bit more flour into that dough. Okay. Get this rolled. So basically, bagels are just flour and water. A little sugar. Okay. That looks good. And we'll put that right here. All right. Now I'm going to put these in the oven. But these is, like I said, this is just a proofing oven. It's not a baking oven. I'm not baking these right now. I'm just giving them a little bit of a rise. We're going to add a little of this water so that steam prevents the this dough from drying out. Okay, we'll put this in the bottom here. Now we're just going to give that about 10 minutes, so let me clear up my area. I'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Now our bagels have raised. They've been about 10 minutes in the oven. So let's take a look. Okay. See how they are? Perfect. Take the other one. Oh, we'll let the other one set there for a minute. I'm going to take this water out of here. And I want to add a little bit more water to the pan. We'll put this up on high. You need this boiling for your bagels. So we're going to boil them off first, then we're going to bake them. I still have one more, and I'm going to leave it in there to work with this first. Now, in this boiling water, we're going to add 1/3 cup of honey. 1/3 cup of honey. I'll let that melt up a little first. Okay? 1/3 cup of honey. Got our fire on high. Now, one thing I have to mention, when I was forming this, I said to you that I'm going to do, I just want to get that honey nice and dissolved in this water. Okay, perfect. Now, when I was forming these into these bagels, I said I was going to use sesame, poppy seed, and cranberries, dried cranberries. I forgot to add the cranberries, so we'll do that some other time. But if you wanted to add something, cranberries, blueberries, cheddar cheese, you have to do that while it's a dough ball before you form it this way. Because once you form it this way, they're ready for the boiling water. So any add-on you're going to do, add-on, not a topping, an add-on. I call this an add-on. You have to do it as it's a dough ball. Now, one of the reasons that you see that I put it inverted and I have it on parchment is because we can't handle these because they'll sink because they've raised in the oven. So we're going to drop the whole pan, the whole paper and all, right into the water. Okay, and then you're going to see once they get wet, then we'll pull off this paper. Okay. There you go. Once they free up from the paper, then you just pull your parchment out of the water. Now we're going to set our timer. We want to let these go for 1 minute. We're going to let them go 1 minute on each side. Now if you can look in the pan, we're going to fix the hole of the bagel so we get it nice and round. Do that with the back of a wooden spoon. And you're going to use a wooden spoon to flip them over. See how they've grown? That's because we gave them that extra step of proofing in the oven. Okay? Now we're going to do it, like I said, 1 minute on each side. This is a pretty good sized pan, so I'm doing 4 of them. Depending on the size pans you have at home, you don't want to overcrowd them. See, they're all nice and free by themselves in here. That's what you need. So we'll do 2 batches of 4 at a time, 1 minute on each side. It's almost time to turn it. Got about 10 seconds left. They're looking pretty good. The holes aren't quite centered, but you know what? A bagel's a bagel. Once these cook up and you toast them tomorrow morning, oh, they'll be delicious. Okay, there's our timer. So we'll shut that off. Now we'll turn them over. Okay. We're going to do 1 minute on the other side. Set our timer. Move them around a little bit so the water covers them completely. And then what we're going to do, once they come out of here, we're going to put them on this tray. You can see I have a rack here. That's going to let the water, any additional water that's on there, drip off. Okay. Get these a little bit, get the tops cleaned off. Make sure they're cooked up. So a bagel is a 2-step process. You boil them and then you bake them. And I think the honey in the water, which I wasn't aware of actually, it probably helps with browning them when they're in the oven. I'm sure it imparts a little sweetness too. I mean, it only has, what did we put in here? I think just a tablespoon of sugar. So they're not really sweet. And we've got about a few seconds left. Let's start taking them out. So now, this was the bottom side. So I'm going to put that on the bottom. Okay? Letting them drain off. Alright. Now we'll take the other rack out. Again, see how they've raised up nicely? And if you were to touch them now, they would just sink. That's why you have to put paper and all right into the water. And you saw how easily that paper foam comes off. Once the bottom of that bagel gets a little cooked, it'll come right off. Okay, we set our timer. 1 minute. Here we go. Okay, so easy. Now we'll just get that center hole a little rounder while the dough's soft. Those are going to be cool enough for us to touch after. Perfect. So you see, it's not really a big production. And like I said, if you wanted a smaller bagel, then instead of cutting it into eighths, you'd cut each half into, what, 16? But this is an actual size of a bagel. We've got about 6 seconds left, so we could start turning these. Okay. There you go. Set this again. All right. Now, once this batch is done, we're going to bring these over to the table, and we're going to egg wash them and put our toppings on. We're going to use toasted sesame seeds and poppy seeds. See how they've grown. If you didn't give them that second proof, they wouldn't be this big. So you want to be sure to give them that second proof. Okay, I'm going to shut my stove off. Just be very careful when you give them that second proof in your oven. Don't go any higher than 150. You shouldn't really feel heat. Just very warm. That water, the steamy water, is what's going to actually help these to rise to this. Give it that second rise. And we're almost here now. Another minute. All right. Use our strainer here. Again, that's the bottom of where it was, so we're going to reverse them like this. And we'll get rid of this. Move these out a little bit. All right, and one more. Well, some of these have really, really lost their shape, but you know what? They're going to be fine. Get rid of this. I'm just going to dump this boiling water so I don't have all this steam in the kitchen. All right. Now, if we go back over to our working bench, we'll bring these here. And I always use parchment whenever I bake something so it doesn't stick. And also, folks, you can use this parchment over and over again. Don't think you only get one use on this. Until it becomes really brown and brittle, then you can discard it. But in an actual bakery, we use parchment over and over and over. So what I have here is just one egg, and it's just the egg wash that we're going to use to wash these bagels. I want to do the first batch. The first batch was, okay? So we're just going to lightly egg wash it. Just a beaten egg with a little bit of milk, just a splash. Okay, this is going to give us a nice golden color. Okay, and we're going to sprinkle it with a little sesame seeds. And also, you notice on this cutting board, on this baking sheet rather, I put a little bit of cornmeal, and that'll just crispen the bottom up too. And I like the flavor of cornmeal cornmeal bagels. You could actually sprinkle cornmeal right on the bagel itself. Okay? And it really crispens it up a little bit. Maybe I'll make one like that too, actually. Okay? Little sesame, put that back on here. Now they're pretty well through rising. They're not going to rise much anymore. Now they're going to finish baking off. So you could put them a little close on the tray. You don't have to worry about leaving space for them to rise. We'll do this one with poppy seeds. I don't know if I'm going to get 8 on here. I'm going to have to make up another sheet pan, I think. I could use the one that I've got here. I'll just dry it off. Unfortunately, I've wet my fingers, and that's why I'm sticking to these seeds. Well, maybe I could get it if I squeeze them together a little bit. Okay. You want to be pretty liberal with this, because this is really going to aid in. Let's do this, and I won't get my fingers all loaded up with the seeds. Sesame seeds is one of our favorites, so we'll probably make an extra sesame. Boy, these two kind of like looks like a mutant bagel. A couple of them kept their shape good. This one's really good, actually. Again, like I said, if you were going to put an add-on, like I wanted to make these cranberry bagels, you'd have to do that before you formed it into the dough like this. Let me see. I don't know if I'm going to get 8 on here, so I'm going to use a smaller pan, and we'll put the other 2 on a smaller pan. I'm also going to do one with cornmeal, okay? Because I like the flavor of cornmeal. It really crispens it up a little bit. So we'll brush one. Do this nice perfect one with cornmeal. I'm just going to get one of my sheet pans that I used already. And I have some parchment paper on the table over here. Okay. And we'll sprinkle this with a little cornmeal. And this one will really crispen up. Shake off the excess. There's one there. We have one more. And we're going to do this one. How many we got here? We'll do this one poppy, I guess. Poppy seed. All right. Now, I have my other oven already on 375 degrees. We're going to bake these off for about 25 to 30 minutes. I'm going to pause my camera, and hopefully it doesn't shut off on me. If it does, it's going to have to be a 2-part video. I'll have to show you the finished product on a different video. But I'm going to pause it. I'm going to go put these in the oven, and hopefully I'll be back and I'll show you the finished product. So here you have it. I just took them out of the oven, and they actually come out pretty good. Look at this one. It's almost perfect, huh? So it all depends on your rolling. These two look good. Once you get that, work on your form, you can get them nice and round. But I'm telling you, these are nice. These are going to be nice and crispy. So that's our video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it and make some bagels for yourself in the morning. John Ferrucci, have a great day.